Hello, how are you doing? I cannot be the only one that okay, so the story is the sauce, and I just realized that this is literally the sauce. This is the sauce. When you get lost in a sauce, you get lost in a story that you tell yourself. That's it. So the story is the sauce. Now, I say this because I've been kind of obsessing a little bit with what stories am I telling myself? What story do I want to live? What story do I want people to be inspired by? Good Viber. It's your girl Esther Joy coming at you with another video. We like to talk about love, light, joy, and peace. And in this video, wanted to say on my hand I have two things written. The first one is do the things you must do. The second one is contact the people who matter. So very simple. That is why I'm here in this life. And yeah, I just talked to my brother and my mother and I gotta talk to my other brother and my other brother and my father and my sister and but one thing at a time. Anyways, the story is the sauce. Yo, this is changing my life, guys. My life is forever changed. I don't know if you can even hear me, but we're gonna go off. I'm gonna make this very simple. So I have these books up. I have these cards from the Storyteller Tactics. Maybe you've seen it around. Really cool, fun, ditch the dull presentations, tell great stories, period. Really fun cards, and they help a lot with brainstorming. So I took 3 of those cards. And the first one was Storybank. Keep track of your stories and the information behind them if you don't want to lose our trust. And this starts off with saying, what's the story? Well, I want to tell you a story just about my life in hopes that this will inspire you to really evaluate and share your own story. I grew up homeschooled, talked to aliens at one point. I was tripping. And there was just one moment where I had this realization, and this is really what changed my life. I was meditating. I may have just had some devil's lettuce with my sister, and I was chilling on my bed just meditating, breathing. Headspace was free at the time, and good old Andy was doing a visualization technique of the golden ball of bright, warm sunlight that just drips into your skin and promotes relaxation. And I remember this because during that meditation I had an out-of-body experience. I literally was out of my body. The light became blue. It was almost like the intensity of the light became much more deeper, and the breath became deeper. And as I was breathing, the light went right through me, almost as if something had cut me in half. Some people call this maybe Kundalini awakening. Literally, I could feel the energy and every nerve in my spine awaken and ignite. And I saw it as a bright blue light. And this bright blue light pretty much opened, my body split, my soul came out of it, and I was just observing myself in third person. I could see myself sitting on the bed through this outline and this aura that was me, a light blue aura. I could also see the outlines of everything, all these little vibrating particles that were creating the matter that I was interacting with. Could also see all of that outlined. Out-of-body experience, also saw my sister's aura. It was red. Anyways. Now, when that happened, the feeling that I had was so euphoric. I can only describe it as the feeling of the light sensations going over you and cleansing you from the inside out. And I became obsessed with bringing this vibration into the world. Like, literally, I started thinking, okay, zero energy, maybe if I created some kind of copper mechanism that could safely transfer these kinds of electrons or emotions from one person to the next in such a way we could start transferring our feelings, and then we could feel this powerful sense of knowing that we are all one and things are not as they seem. They just seem to be that way. So this brings me back to the story as it goes. Your girl became obsessed with that and just continuously driven by this feeling that There's something within us that is meant to be ignited. And it's ignited in me, and I think that's what drives me to do kind of obsessive. I believe that we're playing a game. You know we're playing a game. How can we play this game in a way where we all win? I lost the game, by the way. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean, and you lost too. Anyways, with that being said, going on to where we are currently, how did we get here? I remember telling myself I want to be the greatest chakra healer the world has ever seen. I want to heal people. And I started studying the chakras actually because of this experience. It just shook me to my core. I became a different person. My family, they were like, Esther, you're smiling all the time. You seem different. Something is up. And it's because of this one core thing. And I don't think like that happens to everyone, or maybe it does. You know, one thing happens. But, you know, I went in the spiral of waiting for this thing to happen again. Like, I needed this thing to happen again for me to continue to take action. And then eventually, you know, things did happen. More contact with the galactics. People tripping, you know, glitches in the matrix. People warning me that I'm playing a game. Things like that started to happen. But nothing to that extent yet has happened again, where I've had an out-of-body experience. I was seeing auras, my third eye was opened, my kundalini was awake. It's just all of these things, not to that extreme level. And I think for a while I was stuck spiraling trying to find that feeling again. It's already within me. It's so deeply embedded and ingrained in my being that I am 100% certain it's okay. That doesn't need to happen again. I'm here to use that energy that I have been given in order to create something else. So that's what I'm here to do, right? That's what we're here to do. Okay, so story time. Moving forward, now I'm understanding that my mission, a little bit more practically, is here to work with the earth. I want to create some kind of housing system that is connected to the earth, because with each house, it's like a full circle. All of your food scraps are going back into the earth, and then you're using that to grow food. And it's just a whole beautiful cycle. And to me, this all still is connected to that feeling of healing. And I know now I cannot do it alone, and it's too disconnected for me to think woo-woo that only the galactic beings are here to help, when there are you, we are all literally aliens. We are all literal starseeds that have come. Shoot it down. I had a dream. Y'all, we were like, cool, bet, it's our time. We dove into the atmosphere. We came into the bodies that we now inhabit, and we are here for a reason and a mission. And I know that a part of my role is to set up shop, because apparently, like, the way things and shop has a negative connotation, because it's not always, we don't really consume mindfully, and there's something to be done about creating a healthier cycle for humans, to encourage them to pursue their life's missions, which usually is rooted in something that is joyous and happy, and just brings only that soul joy, because each soul is different, and compensates them so they can continue to live and nurture the planet. I'm only one person, and I'm sharing all this because I'm like, I know this is what I'm here to do. That's the story I've been telling myself from the experiences I've had. But let's go on. So the Storybank, you guys just heard like 5 different stories of me, okay? And this is my story. Is it okay for me to share it? Well, this is my YouTube channel, so it's, yeah, you know, this is where I guess I share stuff about the life journey. We're all in it together. I'm figuring it out. You're figuring it out too, I guess. And I hope that you find any of the stories I just shared useful. Yeah, you know, because currently I'm sitting here and I've been figuring out, what do I do with the Echo Chamber? I know that it's supposed to be this organization, community of gardens that amplify the voice of the planet, specifically the plants on the planet, and the natural ecosystems of these places, so that they can be protected and more people are aware of what is an invasive species and how to eliminate invasive species through natural and just like straight up just like weeding them or killing the spotted lanternflies, whatever it is. Sometimes it needs to die. Okay, anyways, getting sidetracked. Still figuring it out. But I have a big faith in the collective consciousness when it comes to taking care of the planet, even if it's only doing a little bit, like being aware of what an invasive species looks like a Japanese longhorn beetle or a spotted lanternfly, to name just like two. And what is up, Stefan? Much love. And just even having this awareness, or having awareness of that you can help somebody in some way with the garden. I think it's cool. I've talked to so many older gardeners, and I'm really trying to figure out how do I get younger gardeners to help them out, because they have so much knowledge and wisdom. And some younger gardeners want to get involved, but maybe they don't have a house, they don't have land, they don't have the skills, they don't have the tools, the resources. But the older gardeners have these things. They have the land, they have the skills, they have the tools, but they just don't have the energy anymore. If there's a way to like just connect them, I think that would help a lot with speeding up the process instead of every time we have to learn. We can learn from those that have already learned, and maybe we learn a little bit faster, and we're able to respect life a little bit more. Okay. Murder hornets. Yeah, man. Probably kill murder hornets, but they sound pretty sus. And I mean, like, don't die while you try to kill them. But if you can kill them, go for it. Go for it. There's so many invasive species. Apparently, like, I learned this from, an example, an older gardener. She's like 81 years old. I met her for the first time last week, and I was actually supposed to meet her again this Sunday, but then I had other plans. But anyways, I'm gonna meet her. And she was very knowledgeable. I met her, I was about to paint, and we started talking, and I ended up watering like half the common grounds for the community garden. And she shared like with me technique, deadheading. I didn't know what deadheading was. Apparently it's when the flowers are starting to get old and you cut them off, you prune them, so the plant is no longer pushing out energy and can produce even more. You get a higher yield of flowers, or even flowers. And also the white beautiful little butterflies that we see, a lot of those are like rose worms, I think was the term she used. I could be wrong on this. This is going from the memory. But she says those are also invasives and not very good for the plants in terms of like they nom on them. I didn't know that. Something I learned from talking to a gardener with wisdom and has the experience. I also learned do not water your whole rose bushes. They will collect mildew. Apparently they're very prone to mold and mildew, so don't get the water directly on the leaves. Just put it on the ground. Just keep it low and slow. Okay. So with that being said, this next one is the Hero and a Guide. And this card, when we think about the Storybank, we now think about getting a fresh perspective on our user, which I don't know, the word user isn't the best way. Giant Japanese hornets. Yeah, no, that's also sounds pretty bad. Both of them, pretty bad. The murder hornets, both of them, not the best, but we will kill them if we see them, if they don't kill us first. Yeah, okay, so I don't really like to use the word users. I like to say maybe the people that you serve, but yeah, I mean, it's less words, right? So get fresh perspective on the people you serve's journey and how they might respond to your ideas. And so there are a couple of ways when you're looking at your story, because here's the thing, okay, when you think about a story, you tell a story to someone, okay? Whether it's you're telling it to yourself, you're telling it to other people, you're telling it to kids, whatever it is, you are telling a story, and it is being received by somebody. So this one is prompting you to think of your relationship with who you're telling the story to. Whether you're the explorer and you value new experiences, so you say leave your comfort zone and you give somebody a map or a compass, right? Or you are the rebel and you say disruption, radical change, and you say break the rules. So you give a crowbar or a lockpick. And this could be, very simple. Like the rebel, I think, is an archetype that some of us that maybe go through heavy spiritual awakenings, we feel we don't fit into the matrix. So we say, break the rules, or reality is not what it seems. You can make your own world, and you can bring to life something that resonates more with you. And so you give people permission to break out of the matrix, right? The defender, you say safety, security. So you say protect your treasures, and you give armor and a padlock, right? I think for me, and right now where I'm at the journey, I feel a bit like the defender with Eco Chamber, because I want to defend natural habitats and ecosystems. And I also want to protect even older people's gardens. I want them to continue to grow. But yeah, then you have the sage, right? You value wisdom and knowledge. You say educate yourself, and you give a book and a crystal ball. And this is, of course, these are just like imaginary tools, but for the sage, for somebody who really values what they're learning, it usually means that you start teaching it to other people, right? You enjoy educating yourselves, and through educating yourself, you're also educating others. The muse, you value creativity and imagination. You say express yourself, and you give paint and a canvas. And I think that's what's up, Jamin. You give yourself those tools and you give them to others, right? So this is all about how you are using your story and your relationship to those you're here to serve. And then the last one is the warrior. You value putting things right. So you say fight the good fight, and you give weapons and tactics. And I think for me, I honestly feel the warrior a little bit, right? Fight the good fight, bro. I value putting things right. I think that our relationship and how we're treating the earth isn't exactly right. I feel like a lot of manufacturing companies, like, they don't really think about the full life cycle of what they're creating and where it ends up. And yeah, especially with food and GMOs, it just kind of like, weirds me out that we're genetically modifying produce. Generally speaking, it's not making it healthier. It's just making it look better. That's about it. Maybe bigger, but that has like consequences. So yeah, whatever story you're telling yourself, you're also telling somebody else. So think about your relationship to that person as you're sharing it. I think for me that's helped a lot. And honestly, I'm doing this with you guys. Like I pulled out these cards randomly. I did not like cherry pick them. You know how I choose my cards. That's how they came out. So 3 of them came out, and that's why we're having this conversation. And again, when you get lost in the sauce, I think it's important to remember that the sauce is a story that you're telling yourself. Where are you confused? God is not the author of confusion. Where are you confused? Because that's where the devil or somebody, which is probably you, because we all get in our own way sometimes, is saying something that doesn't necessarily deem true. You're not resonating with it, and that's okay. Okay. So yeah. See where your relationship is with the person telling the story. If it's you or somebody else. Because we all receive stories all the time, whether it's an ad, whether it's you listening to me. I'm sharing a story with you about how the story is the sauce, right? Or the sauce is the story. These are really interesting concepts. So let's see about this last card, shall we? I think audience profile is pretty self-explanatory. These are the people you're here to serve. So when you think of who you're here to serve, again, this could be kind of salesy, but I think like I could give you an example of 3 people that I'm here to serve. Okay, and I'm giving you this example because I've interacted with this genre of person. Middle-aged man who has gone through spiritual awakening, doesn't have many people in his circle that he can express fully the spiritual beliefs that he has for whatever reason, and just is looking for some understanding in a support group, more positivity in their life. A single mother who is wanting to be more independent and provide for their kids, as well as spread good vibes and connect back into their spiritual journey and mission, because they know that that was a big part before they had kids, still a very big part with the kids. They just want to find a way to integrate and balance this energy so it can nurture them and their family. And of course, the last one is kind of like Andromed's frog. I don't even know if that's a word, but like it's just this kind of being that I don't think really associates themselves fully as being human. They're just something else entirely. They have lots of weird stuff that happens throughout the day. They're just trying to find answers. They're just trying to find truth. They're just trying to find soul family. Those are the three kinds of people that I find myself connecting with. And that kind of is just it. You know, you just want to look at the people in your life, the prominent people, and the themes that they have in their life. You know, what is their age, their gender, their kind of job or role in life? You know, what are you going to help them with? Okay, what can you do to help these people? And, you know, what are their hopes, their values, their ambitions that might make them view what you're creating or your story in a good light? And also, what fears or anxiety may put them off to your story? All right, and what do they say or already do about your story? Okay, so your idea. If you're not sure, then just connect with more people. All right, share your story and see how it is, or just like look for people that are already sharing similar story to yours and see how people are reacting to it. However you do it, I think it's important to ask yourself, who am I here to serve? How can I serve them? Where are they? And how can I understand how to serve them? And serve them. Like, not even understand, just serve them. Serve them. Okay. So, the moral of the story is the sauce is the story. God and the Word. When you think about the Word, I want you to think about the purest form of communication and what that looks like, and how information transfers from one being to another, and how information can come in many shapes and sizes, and how it can be received and communicated in many different ways, from body language to sound. And even plants communicate, trees communicate, mushrooms communicate, birds communicate, every single thing on this planet, it communicates to each other. Water communicates. Now, we all have stories that we're telling ourselves. And one thing I encourage you to do is ask yourself, is this a story that I want to live in this lifetime? Because God is not the author of confusion. And I think if you feel confused in any way, then please just pray. I believe that your life has a beautiful purpose. And the more that you can allow yourself to be present with this purpose and realize, like, wow, this is pretty cool. I'm living a life just for me. I have a unique story that only I can experience and have experienced and know, right? Only you know the story bank that you hold. Only you have the ability to position yourself to have that relationship with the people that you're here to serve, if that makes sense. Only you can connect with those people in the way that you're here to connect with them in that way. Because you're here to give them certain information that will help them along their path and may change their whole story. So they're no longer lost in the sauce because you said, hey man, you can actually use that sauce on your hot dog. And now they're like, wow, I had so much sauce, I didn't know what to do, but now I know I can use it on my hot dog. Or, hey man, you can use that sauce in a soup. Wow, that's fantastic. I love soup. Great. Anyways, whatever it is, you have a unique relationship with the people that you're telling your story with, and start with yourself. You have a very unique relationship with yourself because guess what? You're the only person that you're always going to be with until you die. So I think it's worth seeing what stories are you telling yourself? What relationship do you have with yourself when you're telling those stories? And really analyze yourself. If you were somebody else, how would you describe yourself? Do you really know yourself? Do you really know what you appreciate about being alive. I mean, I sure hope you do. Do you really know what problems you're facing? Probably. Do you think about it? Do you take the time to acknowledge it? And it doesn't have to take a lot of time. It can take less than a minute to just take a breath and acknowledge whatever you're going through, whatever obstacles are coming up. You don't have to spend extra energy trying to push them away or resist them, and just acknowledge that they're there. Because I promise you, when you do it, it's kind of crazy how all of a sudden those problems seem to disappear. What kind of relationship are you providing to yourself? You know, sometimes I feel like, oh, I'm such a mess. I'm so like, bleh. But then all of a sudden, somebody in a meeting that didn't know that I would be I'm not actually sure why I was able to see the transcriptions of the meeting, but they were like, man, they're so out of there, you know, they're just so ditzy, you know, they never get anything done. And I thought about that, and I was like, I guess that's a story. For a while, people were perceiving from me, and maybe I had on some level accepted as truth. And then at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm not gonna lie, actually, I did resist this one. But it did not help me make that less true. It was only when I accepted it was I able to actually give space for that story to change. So sometimes you just gotta accept the things as they are and realize, like, actually, that is how you change the story. That is how you give the space. You acknowledge the page that you're on so you can turn it to a new one. But yeah, you have a lot of stories in your bank. All right, these are valuable. Sauce is valuable. Everybody wants sauce to some extent. Listen, when was the last time you had some very bland tacos? No sauce. Not the best, you know? Or some real dry meat with no sauce. You need the sauce, man. It's what makes life a little fun. The sauce is also connected to our sacral, of course. You know, I had to add in the chakras. It's connected to our sacral. It's connected to our inner child. It's connected to our sense of imagination and play. It's also because the sacral is connected to the senses of our taste, and it's also connected to our throat because sauce needs to be ingested, but also telling stories is connected to our throat because that is how we express our truth. And so, yes, okay, sauce is important. The secret to success is telling the story of your sauce. You all have secret sauces out here, okay? You could call it your soul's mission. You could call it a special divine inclination to do something that you feel passionate about doing. That passion, that zesty feeling you get when you think of that thing, that is a sauce. What story are you telling yourself connected to the sauce? And sometimes we get lost in the sauce. But honestly, when you are lost in the sauce, at least you know there's a way to go. You know that you're lost, and you'll be able to find your way out. Anyways, I hope that you appreciated this session where we talked about your stories. I'm really hoping that this encouraged you to reflect and take time to understand your own story. I'm at like an alternative business school, and they're telling us how important it is to tell your story to investors because you could potentially get thousands of dollars just because they resonate with your sauce and they think it's fire because you told a story that really touched their soul. And that's literally how life goes. You have a mission. You're here to explore that mission, to taste the mission, the zestiness, and to enjoy the experience as your story unfolds. So don't get lost in the sauce. Change the story you're telling yourself. Be aware that the sauce is the story, and you have the ability to take a step back, evaluate the relationship that you have, because there's a lot of stories we be telling ourselves. We can pivot and have a new introspective or insight perspective of the relationship with the story we have, and we can create a new one. So I hope that you do so if you feel led. Thank you so much for joining. God bless you. Much love. Namaste. And I'll see you in the next one. Let me know, what kind of sauce are you telling yourself?